friends, and welcome to Classic Moments of Sports History in the Heartland. I'm your host, Mark Bixler. Tonight, we're taking our time to celebrate the very soul of high school athletics across our region. We're exploring the most competitive conferences in the states that we cover. Now, that includes Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Kentucky, and West Virginia. We'll talk about the big famous leagues that everybody knows, but we're also going to shine light on smaller conferences where the rivalries burn just as hot, if not hotter. And we'll highlight some conferences that have been around for decades, some over a century old, and others that disappeared for a while before reorganizing and coming back stronger than ever. These leagues create the rivalries, build character, and produce memories that last lifetimes. So sit back, relax, and let's honor all of them. We're going to start in Ohio, and I know some of you are probably saying, well, he's from Ohio, that's why. And you're right, probably so. But it's also one of the richest and deepest high school sports states in the country. The Greater Western Ohio Conference, otherwise known as the GWOC. It earns its spot because of its remarkable balance and also talent. Schools like Fairmont, Beaver Creek, Springboro, Lebanon, Wayne. They see multiple future college talent every year. The competition is so fierce that even strong teams hover around 500 and they still make deep playoff runs. The Greater Catholic League, or GCL, and especially the Southern Division, it's legendary. Wait till you hear some of the schools. You're going to recognize them. I don't care where you live. But they're legendary for their tradition. Moeller. If you haven't heard of Moeller, well, you're probably young enough that you might not have, some of you. But back in the heyday, this school, under Jerry Faust, was dominating. They beat some really good teams, didn't just beat them, they pounded them like 40-0. St. Xavier, Elder, and LaSalle. They've won more state titles than I can name. The rivalries and atmosphere, they're electric. The Greater Miami Conference with Colerain, Mason, and Lakota West produces NFL talent year after year. One of the most fascinating stories in Ohio high school sports, I think, is the Miami Valley League. Now, this league originally began way back in 1926-27 school year. And it ran strong for nearly 50 years, but finally dissolved after the 1974-75 school year. Many of its longtime members, Piqua, Troy, Sidney, Greenville, they moved on to other conferences. I know Greenville joined the Southwestern Buckeye League, another conference. Unfortunately, didn't make my list. But here's the beautiful part. The Miami Valley League was reborn in 2019 when several schools left the GWalk to revive that old name and those historic rivalries. Today, it's once again a competitive 10-team league featuring schools like Greenville, Piqua, Sidney, Troy, and Tip City, or most people, their official name is actually Tippecanoe. Others as well. That kind of resurrection, disappearing for over 40 years and then coming back stronger with renewed tradition, is exactly why we love high school sports here in the Heartland. We also honor smaller, long-standing leagues, such as the Midwest Athletic Conference, or the MAC. It's in Northwest Ohio, West Central kind of too. It was formed in 1972, and it's produced over 150 state championships. That's a lot. And every year since 1976, I believe, they've had at least one state champion in the conference. And many years they have multiple. And when I say multiple, I mean multiple. Because there's some years in football, they have at least 2, if not 3, maybe 4 state champions. That's how good this conference is. It's amazing. Schools like Marion Local, Minster, Coldwater, St. Henry, Versailles, just to name a few. Marion Local had the longest winning streak in the country until this past year when they lost to St. Henry in the playoffs. And St. Henry went on to win the state title. I think it was 73 games that they won in a row. Now, granted, they got lucky on a couple games, but they were able to pull it out. Maybe they got a questionable call that went in their favor, but nonetheless, sometimes it takes luck for streaks like that. Conferences like the Scioto Valley, Southern Ohio, Mid-Ohio Athletic, I should say. Also, they have deep roots, many of which faded during the consolidation era, but they've come back with new energy. We move north to Michigan. The Catholic High School League, or CHSL, it's been a cornerstone for nearly a century. What makes it special is the perfect blend of strong academics, outstanding coaching, and elite competition. Schools like Brother Rice, De La Salle Collegiate, Detroit Catholic Central, Divine Child, and University of Detroit Jesuit have long histories of producing state champions while developing well-rounded student athletes. The physical style of play and deep rivalries make every game feel important. The Giant OK Conference, Ottawa-Kent, is one of the largest and most competitive in the state, regularly sending multiple teams to the finals in football, basketball, and track. The Lakes Valley Conference, Macomb Area Conference, and Saginaw Valley's League also deliver year after year after year. On the smaller side, leagues like the Tri-County Athletic League, the Central Michigan Athletic Conference, and the Northern Michigan Athletic Conference are incredibly competitive. Many of these smaller conferences trace their roots back to the early and mid-20th century. Some disappeared or merged during the consolidation period from the 60s to the 80s. The resilience and small-town pride is a big reason why Michigan high school sports remain so special. In Illinois, the Central Suburban League. It's one of the most respected in the Midwest. What makes it special is the remarkable balance between top academics and world-class athletes. New Trier, Evanston, Glenbrook North, Glenbrook South, Maine South, and Niles North. They produce athletes who go on to Power 5 programs at an impressive rate. The parity here is outstanding. Any team can beat any other on any given night. The Southwest Suburban Conference, DuPage Valley, Western Big Six, and the historic Chicago Catholic League that includes schools like Mount Carmel, Loyola Academy, Brother Rice, and St. Rita. They're loaded with talent and tradition. One conference with deep, long-standing roots is the Mid-Illini Conference. It's been around for decades and continues to be a highly competitive league featuring solid programs that battle year in and year out. Those programs include Washington, Morton, Metamora, Dunlap, East Peoria, Canton, Limestone, just to name a few. Dunlap. Its longevity and consistent level of play have made it a fixture in Central Illinois high school sports. We also celebrate some excellent smaller school conferences like the Prairieland Conference. It's known for its tough, well-matched, small school competition and strong community support. Schools in this league often punch well above their enrollment numbers. The Lincoln Trail Conference, another gem. A small school league where rivalries run deep. Crowds are loud, and the level of competitiveness is simply outstanding. These smaller conferences, along with others like the Little Seven, Heartland, and Sangamo, have rich histories going back many decades. Many of them faded and merged during the major school consolidation waves in the late 20th century and formed co-ops, only to reorganize and regain their competitive fire. The long-term staying power is the ability to reinvent themselves, and this is why they earn a place on this list. Indiana. It's a basketball state. It has conferences that live up to the hype. The Metropolitan Interscholastic Conference. It's special because of the sheer volume of elite talent it produces. Warren Central, Lawrence North, Pike, North Central, and Lawrence Central. There's a lot of centrals in there. They've sent more McDonald's academics, All-Americans, and college standouts than almost any other league. The intensity, especially in basketball, feels like March Madness all season long. The Hoosier Crossroads Conference includes schools like Brownsburg, Zionsville, Hamilton Southeastern, Avon. We're going to name a couple of those a little later on in a minute or two. Conference Indiana, loaded with football power and basketball excellence. But one conference that deserves special mention, I think, is the Olympic Conference. It formed in 1971, and it quickly became one of the strongest and most respected leagues in central Indiana. It brought together strong programs from the Anderson area, Kokomo area, Muncie area, and suburban Indianapolis areas. Connorsville, where I worked for a while, was a part of the Olympic Conference. Jay County in Portland, Indiana, another member of the Olympic Conference. Brownsburg and Hamilton Southeastern, Noblesville, they were all members of the Olympic Conference. For nearly 4 decades, the Olympic Conference featured outstanding competition and produced some truly memorable teams and athletes. It was known for its balance, a high level of play across multiple sports. Sadly, the Olympic Conference dissolved in around 2010, largely because of school closures like Anderson Highland and some other realignments. Many of its members scattered to new conferences. Its legacy, however, remains strong. It was a league that punched well above its weight and created some fantastic rivalries and memories during its run. Smaller leagues like the Blue Chip Conference, Patriot Conference, Mid-Indiana, Southwestern Indiana Athletic are among the most competitive in the state. Many of these conferences have roots in the early 1900s. Some disbanded or merged during consolidations. But the passion keeps burning. In Indiana, the love of high school sports, especially basketball, runs so deep that these smaller conferences often produce the most memorable nights of the year. Iowa fans live and breathe high school sports. Smaller leagues like the War Eagle Conference, and for whatever reason, I think I should be in Alabama when I say that, not speaking about Indiana. But here we are. Corner Conference, Western Iowa Conference, and Rolling Valley. These small school conferences are special because entire communities show up. The rivalries are deeply personal, and the level of play is often much higher than enrollment numbers suggest. Many of these leagues have histories going back 70 to 100 years, with some reorganizing after school mergers while keeping their identity and competitiveness intact. Missouri's Suburban Conference in St. Louis. It's enormous and loaded with talent. CBC, DeSmet Jesuit, Hazelwood Central, and others. In Kansas City, the Suburban Blue and Gold. Leagues feature Lee Summit, Blue Springs, and Rockhurst. The Ozark Conference brings serious competition from the Southwest. Smaller conferences like the GRC, Kaw River, Pioneer, and Ozark Highlands are just as competitive. Many of these leagues have long histories interrupted by consolidation and so forth, but they produce surprising state contenders. Minnesota's Lake Conference is widely regarded as the premier league, with Wayzata, Eden Prairie, Minnetonka, Adena, and Hopkins consistently fielding elite teams. Smaller conferences, as I said, like Central Minnesota, Minnesota River, Pride of the Prairie, and West Central, they've delivered tremendous heart and community investment. Many have decade-old roots, with some reorganizing after school changes, but maintaining fierce local rivalries. Wisconsin features the Classic 8 Conference, Muskego, Arrowhead, Catholic, Memorial, and Greater Metro Conference, both loaded with talent. Smaller leagues like Eastern Wisconsin, Flyway, Cloverleaf, and Southern Lake feature passionate, hard-nosed competition. Many Wisconsin conferences have roots in the early 1900s, several fading and later reorganizing, but their identities are in their strong communities. Kentucky, Northern Kentucky Athletic Conference, or NKAC, and the intense Louisville area regional battles are fierce. Trinity, St. Xavier, Male, and Ballard create rivalries that feel bigger than the state itself. Smaller and regional conferences in eastern and western Kentucky often produce the biggest upsets and most emotional games. Many have long histories tied to deep community pride and tradition. West Virginia, Mountain State Athletic, or MSAC, and the massive Ohio Valley Conference, or OVAC, which crosses into Ohio. They're the strongest, toughest in America. Bridgeport, Wheeling Park University. And others battle in environments where Friday nights are true community events. Smaller mountain conferences show unmatched toughness and pride. Many have stories spanning generations, with some reorganizing after school changes, while keeping that classic mountain state spirit alive. From century-old leagues to those that disappear and came back stronger, these conferences are the heartbeat of the Heartland and high school sports. They prove that the heart, tradition, and community matter most. Which conference or old rivalry should we feature next? I'd love for you to send your stories. You can email heartlandsportsradio@yahoo.com. That's heartlandsportsradio@yahoo.com. Or you can send it to heartlandsportsradio@gmail.com. Again, heartlandsportsradio@gmail.com. You can also send to our website, which is heartlandsportsradio.com. heartlandsportsradio.com. I want to thank you for listening tonight and joining me and watching. I'm Mark Bixler, keeping your local teams and keep supporting them, please, and creating those classic moments. We'll see you next time. Good night.